Morning. We'll try and do some basic Excel analyses with some coronavirus data that's coming in from the World Health Organization. This is dated March 12th, 2020. So what we have in front of us is an Excel spreadsheet with the countries, total cases, total deaths, new recovered, active cases and critical cases. And of course, all of these are simply put absolute values, right? It's a specific value. It's a completely absolute value. It doesn't give you, all right, total cases 10 and deaths are 0 and recovered 10 is a recovery of 10 out of 10 better. So best way to get rid of absolute values, because they themselves don't tell you much other than just giving you a number, but 10 out of 10 seems to be better than, for example, in China, you have 62,824 newly recovered cases, but you've got 80,000 total cases. So the numbers themselves don't mean anything. It looks like, lots of more people have recovered in China, but no, actually that's a lower percentage compared to the total cases you have. So best way to tackle that is to convert absolute values into ratios. So let's try doing that. So let's create one that says deaths to total cases, or deaths to cases, and then to another one which is we want to say recovered to the total number of cases. So that gives you a chance to say, alright, deaths to cases. Of course, we could have simply subtracted one from the other to take care of that, but sometimes that might not happen. One might be under critical care and not completely recovered, so there are multiple different nuances to it. So in order to calculate deaths to cases, all we do is equal to, and we choose where are the deaths. We say total deaths, which is in this case D2 divided by the total number of cases, which is B2, and press enter, and that tells you 0. Same thing, recovered cases is equal to recovered cases new recovered, which is F2, out of total cases, which is B2. Press enter. Now we can simply select both of them, move the cursor around till it turns into a solid handle right at the right bottom tip, and then double click. And the minute you double click, it fills in all the cells, which is fantastic. But now the thing is, they're all shown as decimals. They're fine, but let's convert that into a percentage. So we will right click on any of the cells and say format cells, and go into percentage, keep it at 2 decimal places, and click enter. Now we see that you've got all of these numbers. They've all been converted into percentages, and then it starts showing you the interesting bits in converting an absolute number into a ratio. For example, in Macau, in Nepal, and Gibraltar, there have been 100% recoveries, even though the number of cases, newly recovered cases, seem to be absolute numbers very, very low. On the other hand, in China, even though the newly recovered cases have been 62,824, the percentage of recovery has only been 77.76%. Same thing, the deaths to cases has been 3.92%, and that allows you to look at the numbers a bit more carefully. Now, of course, what we can do is, if we wanted to filter the results, so we can click on the entire row, and what we will do is go to data, and we will click on filter. And the minute you click on filter, what you find is you find a small arrow, a drop down arrow, besides each of the labels. So in this case, suppose we want to see which countries have had the most deaths. So we'll say in descending order. Click on the right arrow, click descending order, and voila, suddenly you see that, alright, Guyana has 100% deaths, followed by Morocco, where the deaths to number of cases have been 16.67, so 16.7% of the cases have died from coronavirus in Morocco. In Bulgaria, about 14.29%. In Iraq, about 11.27%. On the other hand, if you wanted to see the countries where there have been the least amount, you can simply say ascending, and it immediately shows you, all right, all these countries from Macau right up till, let's say, right up till Turkey, there's been 0% deaths in terms of coronavirus related deaths. Now what we'll do is we'll go down, and we want to also look at the total. So total, we enter total, and we'll also look at the average. So let's highlight both of them and in bold, and in order to calculate total is equal to sum of the entire set of data, which is, click the data set, hold the cursor or hold the mouse button, the left mouse button, and go right up to the number set and close it, and then you've got that. And all we do is, once we've got that, because we're just calculating totals, we just pull this through. Should calculate the totals for all of them. So in this case, and of course these ought to be, so we'll do that a tiny bit later. So next is average. Average is equal to average, A-V-E-R-A-G-E. These are all Excel functions of nothing but the entire set of cells. Now there's, on a Mac, you can do Command Shift up arrow. Just make sure it goes to B2 rather than B21, because the very first one is a label, and you don't want text to be mixed with numbers. It makes calculation impossible and is going to give you an error value. And then we just pull that through, and you have it. So let's convert those into percentages, and we have the percentages. Now of course, in this case, this really doesn't mean anything, total percentage of cases, because it really doesn't mean anything whatsoever. Similarly, in terms of total percentage of recovery, doesn't mean anything, so we just want to know the average, right? So the average recovery, so this, let's see what this actually means. This basically means that on March 12th, 2020, about 129,589 cases were reported around the world, out of which 132, or let's say total deaths have been 4,749, and the number of people who have recovered have been, which is F, 68,670, right? And on average, by country, right, so in this case we appear to have about 126 countries. On average, there have been about 1,028 cases per country. On average, about let's say 37 people have died per country, and on average about 545 people have recovered per country. So on average, there have been a 1.79% rate of deaths and 9.82% recovery.